Welcome back to another coaching session with me, Connor O'Driscoll, and my coach, Caldini. Today we're going to finish off the final table of the 109 warm up, and if we have time afterwards, maybe do something else, but we'll just finish this probably. Right?
Yeah, let's dive in. I think we'll get it done. I mean, you never know. You can spend ages on hands, can't you? But there just aren't that many left. I think we're on pocket jacks, weren't we? This one. Aha.
Oh, yeah. So we just want to shove.
Yeah, we'll just jump free. Jump free. Colin's not some fucking punt or anything, but yeah, I'll jump free. So you win poker tournaments, Connor. You just fucking jacks, kings, ace king.
Well, I didn't win this tournament, and I didn't win this hand,
And
so fuck you.
you didn't win this hand.
No.
Obviously, we won a 3-bet. I would make it bigger though. I'd probably make it 8 or 9. 9 seems a little bit big. Maybe 8, 8.5. It's just very polarized. I guess it's a little bit less polarized because we do cover now, so I don't mind it too much. And then yeah, it's gonna jam against the click. Obviously, he's gonna have aces from time to time, but when he's doing this with ace highs, I think just jamming pre and taking down 20 bigs. It might seem like we want to keep a hand like ace deuce off in, but picking up 20 bigs is worth a lot. Just worth so much.
Also, he could do this. He can definitely induce with queens, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that's ridiculous. So yeah, I would just jam. What do you think about this one?
Uh, I think Jack 5 is a shove. I don't know if Jack 4 is. I think Jack 4 is like the. Obviously, I'm distraught after the last hand.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I think Jack 6, 7 at shove. Maybe not Jack 6 even. An FT for 12.
Yeah, so it feels too weak to shove.
It feels too weak to shove, but maybe I should RFI, yeah. Because we want to RFI the bottom and the top.
So how much limping are you doing here? Do you think?
Um, with these stacks, I should probably do a good bit of limping, yeah. Because it's not like we have a stack that can just put sick pressure on this guy. Like we raise, he shoves on us, we fold, and we pretty much have the same stack. So we want to be careful.
I mean, we don't have 100 bigs, so we can't completely smash him, but we still have nearly 2x's stack. Not quite, but we have him covered. We can put the pressure on. But even if the stacks were reversed and we were covered, I'm not doing much limping on an FT 10 effective in these kind of spots. Personally, I would I would just 2.5x this at the bottom. I think generally when you look at short stacked small blind first in spots like this on FTs, it's just a very aggressive strategy. And the way it adjusts when you have a lot of risk premium on your stack, it's not to start limping, but instead it's just to play tighter but still play aggressively. Like if these stacks were reversed, again I wouldn't play limps. Limp Collins just a disaster in that situation. Excuse me. So I would just play very, very tight, have some jams, and then have some non-all-in raises with obviously our raise calls. So if you have ace jack suited, you probably don't want to jam, right? You probably just want to raise.
Nice call, yeah.
Tens, you probably want to raise. Um, and then which hands you use at the bottom is going to depend on how many hands you get to play in that. This might be in and around the bottom, to be honest. Like you said, jack six off can jam. So if you tell me jack six off suit's going to jam here, and we have raises, like non-all-in raises, what are we going to use? It's going to be the next hands after the jams. So when the jams stop, that's where the raises are going to come.
Yeah.
Now, it's a little bit tricky because we don't have a monster stack. And you just see a lot of limping in Chippy V in these spots. So it's a little bit tough, but my starting point here is just not to do a bunch of limping. Because the limps are probably going to be built around like aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens for value, right? But I think those are just going to raise small in this spot. But we'll take a look. So we're 500, 20 versus 10. Maybe I'm missing some limps in these spots, but yeah, at the minute, at the minute I'm just playing a lot of RFI. Just give me a shout if you see one.
Seventeen,
So look at
14.
this one first. This one's what you would describe in this situation not being is. So this one we have a big stack. So we'll see what happens when we have a huge stack. Small blind. Not too surprising. We just smash it. Yeah, jam everything. Very polarized open and range.
And you got 17, 14 there.
17, 14 is probably a little bit better. A couple of slightly deeper stacks.
Just fold.
To be honest, I'm not too concerned where jack of offsuit fits in the range. Is it a fold? Is it a raise? My concern is we're playing limps in a spot which just doesn't have limps.
Yeah.
I would imagine if we were to run this for this specific spot, it's just going to pull the limps out. So this one's small blind 10, so with a shorter stack in the small blind, we're playing tighter, but again, we're still not limping just because we're covered. Because again, limp calling is just kind of a disaster. So very polar opening range and then jams. 12, 15, covered slightly, similar story. We've looked at the 1060, haven't we? Let's see if we can find one that's like 25 to 10 or something. 30 to 15, let's take a look. Same story. I don't think we're going to get to play this loose in this spot. I think you want to play a little bit tighter, but structure of the range is going to look the same as far as I'm concerned.
Is there limps?
Raise the top, jam the middle, raise the bottom.
Is there limping at like, 30 versus 40?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So it's the stack depth causing it. So even when you get to like 25, Connor, maybe even 20, it's going to be a little bit easier to limp because now the risk reward for the big blind to jam, let's say we're covered, it's not quite as high. So if we look at this one, we're going to have a very significant risk premium here in the small blinds. We've got 20, big blind's got 60.
When you say limp calling is a disaster, you mean limp calling shove? Or limp...
It's just hard to limp call a jam. What we want to do, as far as I understand it, I think this is more of a simplified idea, but you want to avoid the post-flop game tree when the risk premium is very high. Like when you open from the hijack as a stack with like 30 bigs, and the big stack 3-bet you in the cutoff, and you're out of position. You don't see that many flats there. Usually you see quite aggressive strategy. You just don't want to be playing post-flop at shallow SPRs when you're covered. That's what I've seen, and it seems to be quite consistent across multiple spots. But as soon as you get to like this, so this is 20, we're up to 20 bigs. Now we're limping a bunch. Yeah. So this one's 30 for us in the small blind. So even though we do cover the big blind here with 30 big blinds, and he's only got 20, there is still a little bit of limping. We're obviously playing very aggressive, but 2025, I might have just looked at that, a lot of limps. So it's just a stack depth thing. Yeah. 12 effective, just not limping much. This is 25 versus 30. Again, a lot of limps. Still a polarized open. With some kind of merged offsuit block of opens there, but yeah. This shallow, you just need to strip these out. So what's the answer here? Probably a raise or a fold, realistically. I think a 2.5x is going to be my answer before we see a sim. But I'm not that concerned as much as I am concerned that we need to pull this node out of our strategy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Is there anything else you want to see, by the way, just in terms of some of the distributions?
Um, no.
All good.
Oh, yeah. I'll have a look myself on GtoWizard.
So obviously it's a standard default on the button. Based on what we've just seen, what do you think about this?
His limp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's, based on what we've just seen, there is no limp.
Yeah, probably not right. Probably a mistake. We go to see if we can find a 15 versus 20, 500. 15 versus 25. I know there is a little bit of limping, but you can see the bulk of the strategy is to just play RFI. It looks like the sweet spot based on what we've seen is around 20. Yeah, around 20 bigs. But if you show me this strategy, I'm probably not going to do much limping. I'd rather just play a little bit tighter and just simplify the strategy, personally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because there's no real hands which are dominant limps, like Queen Jack, Queen 10 suited, 7-5. That's about it. King Deuce. Everything else, just a very straightforward strategy. Raise the top, jam the middle, raise the bottom. This is the problem. Just can't really limp call. It's a little bit tough.
Can we, like, what adjust if we think the big blind's checking a lot or whatever, or isn't jamming enough? Can we start limp?
Yeah, so I would imagine that the EV of limp is going to go up if your opponent's playing too passively. I would imagine that's the case. But the big blind strategy in this spot, for example, it's not that aggressive. Like
Yeah,
it's not it's checking a lot of offsuit aces. I think a lot of your opponents going to play 0% check on these. It's checking these pairs.
yeah,
It's
but
ISOing as a bluff a lot, which I think is going to happen.
that's because it's versus the small blind range. Like, this strategy is playing versus the small blind range, which doesn't have limps.
This one has lips at
It
15.
doesn't have many limps. Yeah.
It's only 10% though. You're right. Very thin. But it's a valid range in the same, like it's not empty like you might see with some of the other ranges. It looks kind of reasonable just in terms of the response, but I don't know. I find it hard to believe someone covering is going to play that much more passively than this, personally. And the guys who are going to play way too passively against your limit are probably going to overfold against an RFI or a jam. So that's going to increase the EV of the other options again. So when it all balances out, when you add everything up, what's the answer? It's hard to say without not looking at sim. I would assume that these strategies, which have very little limps, are going to probably favor having very little limps after you node lock them.
Yeah, because you still have to play out of position against the stack that covers you post flop if they do check.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
If they're just crazy passive and then just not betting flops, you know, their ISO is 20%. They're only putting money in post flop with top pair plus. It's probably going to get a lot better. But yeah, for now, my strategy is just not to limp much there.
Yeah, I definitely will be taking that on board for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit small. Unlucky. That's what you want to see. There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. We're getting smashed. This one looks good. Unlucky. Fucking brutal.
Remember I told you where I came in this tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Third.
Did you celebrate the split? How the fuck did we come third at this point? What's going to happen? I would be celebrating that spade so loud and then realising.
Yeah.
Sad.
Sad.
Oh, this is how we come third. I see. Good flop for tens. A little bit concerning to see the fucking half pot bet on the queen. He's going to have queen deuce a lot, isn't he? Never mind. Easy game.
Queen deuce.
I did flick through these, so I might have just remembered that in my subconscious, by the way, rather than just being a fucking
Oh yeah.
soul reader, because I have flicked through these hands a little while ago. What do you think about this one?
I don't like that you're stalling. I didn't know really. The old 2 big blind ranges under the gun 4-handed FT.
What does this feel? Does this feel? That doesn't make sense in English. How does this feel? Just as a jam, does it feel like it's worth around 0? Does it feel like it's worth a little bit? Worth, does it feel like it's losing a little?
Feels 0.
Around 0-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's a fucking disaster.
Oh.
So this is an important one. So the small blind limp was an important one for the strategy. This one's probably the second most important one because there's not many hands left. There's only a couple hands left. This one, yeah, this one's a big problem. So just make sure all that's good. Bounty mode
I
off.
mean, how big of a problem is it with 1.9 big blinds?
See, that's the thing. It doesn't look. It looks like we're in next hand anyway. So just get the chips in and hopefully we double, right? That's what it looks like. And I think it's completely normal for it to look like that because I've looked at these kind of spots before, thinking the exact same thing, and then you run the sim and you think, oh fuck, this is a fucking disaster. So I think the first problem is that the big blind has no chips, and very simply, what's going to happen is when we fold, button's going to fold a shit ton. Small blind's going to jam any 2 cards, and the big blind needs to stack off with like a reasonable amount of hands. Like his range for 7 bigs there isn't going to be like kings.
Okay.
I don't think. I even ran the sim and looked at his response, but I just don't think it's possible. I know if he folds, we're forced in next hand with pretty much everything. So there's a lot of reason to fold. So I think he should play tight. But so sometimes the big blind's going to stack off this hand. Sometimes the button's going to get dealt ace queen, and the small blind's going to have jacks, and it's going to go in. In chips, we're pretty much just in. But on an FT, where there's essentially very little EV in getting the money in and picking up the chips in the middle.
What if the big blind has 30 bigs?
We can compare if you like. We can compare both. I think our range gets wider. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
So obviously the future game is a concern with the big blind next hand. That's what I think. But our hand's so weak that any hand we get dealt in the big blind next hand is going to be, it can't be much worse than this. So the fact that people can bust in this hand when we fold, that's valuable. It's just a little bit too weak, mate. It's just too weak. So let's run it. And let's see. So it should be a nice and quick sim. Save one super shallow. We're not going to win that often because we don't have any fold equity. So it's not like we've lost our fold equity since we dropped to the shallow stack.
Hello? We lost them, lads.
Hello?
Yeah.
Are we back?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Can you see the results? This is us in the cutoff.
Oh my god. Imagine folding king 4 suited.
King 4, Jack 8 suited, it's a pure fold. We've got 2 big blinds, right? Jack 8 suited is a pure fold.
Imagine
Pocket raises out.
folding a pair, folding an ace, folding a king.
So this is the small blind strategy. It's not too surprising, right? Probably should add some min raises in for the top and bottom board, just to keep the sim simple. So he's super fucking tight, which is not that surprising, right? Because we're forced in next hand, so he's incentivized to fold a lot. Pocket 8s plus, I thought it would be a touch wider, but it's still pretty tight. If we look at the button strategy, so the button can jam or min raise. Let me just run this down a little bit more.
This is HRC, guys, so there's a 10% off link in the chat for this as well as GtoWizard. Make sure you get on those. They're the only two tools that you need.
So button has a 30% risk premium in this spot. Basically shouldn't be playing any hands. Super polar raising range with, I mean, the hands which he can stack off is basically aces, right? He's just open jamming 25 bigs with kings. He just jams because raise Collins a fucking disaster.
So that means he must be folding ace queen suited to a jam.
Let's take a look. So button, let's say button opens. This hasn't run down, to be fair. Yeah, it doesn't run down. I don't want to run it down now because it's going to fuck the mic quality of our chat, but based on his very low accuracy sim, it's raise calling aces and nothing else.
It's crazy.
So yeah, 10-6 off. It's not close. Again, we're 4 pips out. So 10-6 is worth just minus 150. It's nothing crazy, but if we just look at some of the plus EV jams, what would you do with King Jack suited there?
Here?
It would jam, right?
Yeah.
All day long. So all day long, we get dealt King Jack suited. We're jamming. Does it feel like a punt to fold King Jack?
Yeah.
Does it feel like just ridiculous? Because the EV of shoving King Jack there is the same EV we lose for shoving 10-6.
Oh, right.
So it's not a bigger mistake to fold King Jack suited than it is to jam this. They sacrifice the same EV. That's where we're at with 10-6 and King Jack. So King Jack, King Queen around 150. King Queen's even worth less. So it'd be better to fold King Queen off than it would to jam this. I'm not trying to be a dick and make you feel bad about the jam. I'm just trying to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Because if we doing this on a fucking monster NFT, it's a lot of dollars.
Yeah, no, and it's better. I think, like I've been coached by Jordan one-on-one. I think it's better to not be a dick, but to kind of drive it home when your student makes a big mistake.
What we're going to do actually is we're going to test. I tell you what kind of range do you think we're going to see? So if we give the big blind 30 bigs, how much wide do you think we're gonna be?
Oh yeah, so we're gonna be wider, right? Maybe 1 pip for each. It's probably like King 3 suited, Queen 8 off, Jack 8 off is probably in now. Well, Jack 9 off anyway. Ace Deuce off was out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pocket threes would be in, twos probably. 0.5 off. It's much wider, isn't it?
Yeah, much wider. Still quite tight though. I mean, we still have two bigs. Like, if we run this, I just want to show you a chip EV sim, super quick, Connor. I know you don't get these spots very often, but the beauty of running a couple of sims like this is when you do eventually run into this spot, you're just gonna feel so much more confident because it's a spot you just don't see often. So, how many sims do you run where you've got two bigs and an FT? Not many. I haven't run many, but only seeing one or two is enough to drive home these kind of strategies and just how tight they can be, even though we have no chips. So if we go to chip EV,
We're never gonna be four-handed in chippy. Well, we might. This is chip EV. Still tight
that's
enough,
that.
isn't it?
Something up. Yeah, so this should be chips. But this isn't future game, so if we run a future game sim super quick.
I want you to do something as well.
Mm-hmm.
Go. Sorry, yeah. After this, we'll have a look at this first. Sorry, this is future game, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it would be wider, but it's about the same.
All right, now
About the same.
go back to the settings. You can do big blind ante for the live players out there.
Oh, I've got you. So we're in the next hand. We're forced in basically.
Yeah, but you big blind ante first, yeah. No, blind first.
Do I need to change these? Have you done this before?
What?
I guess the big blind just forces this ante in times 4. Is that right?
No, you just add the make it the same as the big blind.
Make the ante the
70,000.
same as the big blind.
Yeah, yeah.
One that forced the big blind to put in 4 times 70,000.
No.
Right, let's test.
Jeez, you can do straddles as well.
Do all sorts, man.
There's no straddles in tournaments, though. How does HRC work for cash games? Just chip EV.
I guess it would just be chips, yeah. Chips. No ante, obviously. Depending on the cash game.
Right, so
that's with the setting you mentioned just now. The big blind ante.
Is it ICM or future game? Right.
Yeah, this one is.
So even though it's not that much wider, is it? Or
it went from, that was our chips one. Let's get rid of this one. It's about the same.
It's about the same.
Yeah, unless I've made an error with the setup. But here's the thing: even though the big blind ante was on the next hand, we're all in anyway. Like we've got, when we do, you're forced to play the big blind in the next hand. We're gonna have 0.9 left, and we're gonna be getting like fucking infinite to 1. So we're just gonna be stacking off. But the opportunity for someone to bust here when we fold, for example, when this happens, pretty valuable. But you saw even in chips, it was still folding like 35% of the deck. And just taking, basically what we're doing is we're folding, we're just taking the next spot in the big blind instead of this one.
Do you
was
think that's
delaying on
mental?
rolling
Would
for a
it?
hand.
Can I see how the play went? Was it like 3-bet call off with eights? Or did he just rip it?
He just rips. Which
He
I think,
just rips and then the eights call. That's
yeah.
a bit.
So button should mainly call. But ace king is jamming, to be fair, to the button. And that's the small blind range. Let me just solve this super quick a little bit further down.
Finds the fucking eights.
Yeah, so there's the pocket eights for small blind in the bin. This is going to happen, Connor. This is going to happen. I think the chances your opponent's played too wide in these kind of spots when you do fold is higher than playing too loose. As too tight, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to sit here and say before we look at the hand that, you know, if the button jumps 25, small blind's going to slam dunk eights. It's just hard to say.
I think
But these ranges are just so tight. Like when you look at the button VPIP when we fold, it's 10%. I can see people. Do you really think people are just going to muck king queen? Just pure muck king queen on the button, king 10. I know it hasn't run down, but when it does run down, these Midland pocket pairs are probably going to be where zero at the most. People really folding those. So yeah, I think just playing very tight there is going to be the best answer. Luckily for us, we scoop.
easy.
Easy game.
Queen here would have been nice, isn't it?
That would have been a little bit of a crazy fifth to second with 0.6 big blinds there, to be honest.
Yeah. Fucking nearly won as well. How'd you know his hand?
He must have showed in the hand history. Pretty sure that's the only way it pops up if they fold. Yep. Beautiful. Still fine. Yeah, pretty standard, right?
So,
How wide would you go for this one? I think this is the last one, right?
yeah. Probably Queen 5 suited, Jack 7 suited, any suited king, King 6 off, maybe King 5, King 4 off actually, King 4 off, any ace, any pair. Obviously not the top of the range. What did I say? Jack 6 off, 10, 7 off, 9, 8 off, probably 9, 7 off. Pretty wide anyway. Why, what's the... Or sure he's... Oh yeah, he's short as well. He's shorter than me now, the other guy.
Mm-hmm. I would have shoved this, by the way, but it looks like it's actually...
Sorry, I forgot that he's shorter than me now. That's a huge difference. But this is the range, yeah? You meant to shove.
Yeah, this is other than small blinds. And again, it hasn't run down, but the rough VPIP's going to be pretty similar.
Anybody folding king 9 off? Going once?
I'm not
Wow.
folding it. I wasn't folding king 5 or RFI. I would have jammed any king. Queen 8 suited for sure in. But yeah, very close. I'm not too concerned. My main concerns out of those hands are the small blind against big blind with 12. We don't want to limp,
Yeah.
and then the 10-6 off with two bigs. So I would say, yeah, basically short stack, final table. Your small blind VPIP, and I think even GtoWizard, if you run some sims where the average stack is quite shallow, and we've got anywhere up to like 10 bigs first in, just drill a couple of those. Like you'll clean up that first in strategy very, very quickly, because they'll have some 2, 3 to 5 big blind stacks. From what
Yeah.
I've seen, it just gets, like we've seen, it just gets a little bit tighter than we think in some spots. And if it's a final table, those are the spots you don't want to be making mistakes where we're 3, 4 pips off, right? Because that's where
It's
the
where the
big
money
FTs, that's
is.
where we're talking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So
I definitely
look,
have.
I'm gonna have to shoot, mate. But I'll leave you with those.
Okay. Sound. See you
Now,
next
what we'll
week.
do?
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll move to the topic next week. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a new visitor.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe not.
Yeah. Take it easy, buds.
All right. See
Catch
ya.
you in the next one. Peace.
Okay, guys. Thanks for tuning in. A little bit of a shorter one this week, but I hope you enjoyed. See you next week.